All right, we want to welcome in our viewers now on CBS LA Channel 2.
CBS LA at 4 starts with breaking news. Welcome in our viewers here on CBS LA at 4. Also on KCAL Channel 9, the storage facility in Boyle Heights going up in flames as we see here, sending thick plumes of smoke to the community.
Our Mike Rogers is tracking the latest from the desk, but let's get straight to Desmond Shaw in Skytown with more for us. Des.
Yeah, this is a fire that started just a little over an hour ago here, and at one point looked like it might have been a minor deal that LA City Fire was going to get a handle on, and then it just exploded. Something malfunctioned with the solar panels and the entire eastern half of the building. Looks like all of these panels are going to burn. They're fighting this primarily in defensive mode with their big hook and ladders, their high pressure hose lines out here. We've got a few firefighters here up on the roof as they try to get more apparatuses into place to see how they can prevent this from spreading. It's really the only thing that they can do at this point. And as we've been warning people in the Boyle Heights and the Vernon and East Los Angeles area, this horribly toxic black plume of smoke that is now traveling practically horizontal towards the south and east is just absolutely ruining air quality. A shelter-in-place order. There's homes right across the street from this massive facility that is about as large as a city block. We haven't seen any strong evidence of fire yet in the interior. There was talk of an ammonia leak earlier. We actually witnessed a gas being ejected from the building. It may have been a emergency procedure or something. A ton of gas was pressurized gas was coming out of all of these bays.
Hey, it's Mike at KCAL. Hey, are you guys on attack alert? Okay, Channel 7 is saying you are. Okay, not even modified for the Bureau or anything? Okay, thank you. Bye.
You know what you're hearing now, Desmond, is that they actually bring in water-dropping helicopters to help with this firefight, which is incredibly unusual.
Yeah, incredibly unusual. And, oh, sorry, go ahead, Des.
My pilot Dylan was telling me he saw some helicopters maybe on the ground around LAX or something. So Van Nuys, excuse me. So hopefully there was talk of bringing in two of those helicopters. We'll let you know when we see them inbound. They're not quite here yet, but yeah, potentially getting in to get ready, and we'll see if they do end up making that water drop on top of the building. Definitely a rare maneuver.
Yeah, and I do see Des Fire 6 just took off. That's the 505, the Bell 505. That's usually what's called a Helco ship, which is kind of an aerial coordinator up top. So regardless, even if they don't drop water, that would be good to get a good set of eyes on it from above. That the Helco ship can kind of give some direction to. I want to do two things with our viewers now joining us here on CBS LA Channel 2. I want to ask if we can come back out to my computer here so we can just kind of give another lay of the land of where we are with shelter-in-place orders and where this smoke is traveling. As we know, this smoke is traveling a significant distance away from where this is. So there is my computer. Thanks, Vin, for that. So right here in the corner of the shelter-in-place order, that is where the fire is. So the majority of the shelter-in-place order, and it's interesting because the smoke is blowing everything this way. So this area up here really has not been that impacted by the smoke, though they are part of this zone that's in shelter in place. So, but you have everything that's kind of burning south. So the communities, obviously, that we're concerned about are the ones that are kind of right in this area, right near the fire, certainly here on Trigg Street, Tuttle Street, all of those things. But then, as we've been looking from Desmond's shot here, things, and forgive me as my map's jumping around here, but things have pushed even further down here. This is the 710 and this is the 5, and things like in this community in Commerce, Bell, Vernon, all of these folks have been seeing some of the significant smoke that has traveled quite the distance. Now, the city has already told people that if you can smell the smoke, if you can see it, if it's close to you, you should shut your doors and windows, turn off your air conditioning, because the smoke is potentially very toxic. And as we've been talking about, and you look at Desmond's picture on the left side of your screen, it does this kind of arc thing where it's kind of pushing up into the air, but then settles down by the 710. So it's those communities that are all right there. And again, Juan and Amy, we've been talking about this is solar panels with glass and all kinds of plastic materials. There was talk of an ammonia leak that may have been pushed up into the air as well. So lots of toxic things that are potentially going on here in this very large warehouse, which again, for our viewers just joining us here at 4 o'clock, we we have discovered that in 2024 there was another fire at this same facility, which they call the Big Bear facility. At this facility, where solar panels were also found to be on fire on the roof. So it's unclear what has happened here. That twice in just a matter of years they've had this solar panels on fire on top of their building, but this one's certainly more significant than the last.
And you mentioned what's burning there, Mike. We're talking glass, plastic, aluminum, silicone, copper.
Yeah.
Even traces amounts of silver and lead. I mean, you think lead, right? Just the dangers of lead and paint and just lead, period. To think that it's actually burning out there and floating through the air is
Right.
scary.
Yes, and that's exactly why people are being told to shelter in place, close those windows, turn off your AC so that air is not blowing into your home. And as Mike was showing us, it is blowing in that southeast direction. And, it's really the communities on the other side there of the shelter in place that are really
Right.
hit by this smoke. We can see those firefighters there on the side, but, certainly such a large plume of black smoke that is just, raging out of this building, and it has been like this for about an hour. I mean, just minutes after this fire was reported before 3 o'clock, it really took off.
Right. The original call time here was 2:35 p.m. And as we told our viewers, when I found out we were coming on the air for this, I was surprised because LAFD seemed to have such a good handle on this originally, and then that certainly just ballooned into all of this. And I want to ask the control room, there's some video that we have from the ground that we just put in that I want to see if we can show people, because it really gives a perspective. Des is pretty far away. We need to be that way for safety. But when you look on the ground, yeah, that's the video. When you look on the ground, look how tall the structure there is, and you see the flames that are coming off the top of it. I mean, this warehouse is very, very, very large. And that's what's, that thick black smoke that's coming off the top of it. What we're still waiting to try to find out, and look at that on Desmond's picture on the left-hand side of your screen, you've got that firefighter that is now back on the roof and very close to those flames as they try to, manage this and deal with it and put it all out. But we don't know if there's extension into the building, and that's going to be a big factor here. Is this contained to the roof? Does this building have fire breaks inside that is preventing it from coming from the roof and into the warehouse? That's what we don't know. Des, as we and I were talking earlier, and we haven't seen any signs of smoke, coming out of the doors, of the roll-up doors near the loading docks and things like that. So a better case scenario, I don't want to say best, but a better case scenario would be that this fire will burn through the solar panels on the roof and then be done, and hopefully not inside the building.
But still so many people, right, dealing with
Oh, yeah.
the possibility of this toxic smoke lingering in their area. Look at that shot on the right-hand side. Just
Yeah.
how quickly the smoke is traveling. We've been talking about the weather conditions out there may be affecting the traveling of smoke. We want to bring in Liberty Chan, who's monitoring the weather conditions out there as well, to see how that may be affecting the firefight out there. Liberty?
Hey, whoever's talking to us, it's not coming through. So I hear that, try right now. No, nothing. And earlier when you were trying to talk to all of us, I don't think they heard you. Try. Oh, why can't I hear you? Wait, talk again on 929? No, I can't hear you. Oh, wait, now do it again. Oh, don't do it on there. Do it on 929. Okay, now I can hear you. That was weird. I couldn't hear you. What is this? What did they just put out? Advisory to the building. Okay, when you come back to me, they just expanded the warning areas. Okay, bye. Chopper, Fire 6, Fire 3, Fire 5 are inbound.
All right, Liberty, thank you so much. And we've been talking about the smoke. It's
Yeah.
growing, it's moving, the toxic impact of that smoke. And Mike, they've just extended the area of concern.
Of concern, right? So we'll come back. Thanks for my computer there on the right side of the screen. So the shelter-in-place order remains the same. That's the area that is shaded here in purple. But everything else is just popped up that is shaded in blue, which is a significant area, is now being called what's an advisory. So they're basically just alerting you to the bad air conditions. They're not telling you necessarily that you need to shelter in place, but they are alerting a very large swath of town about this fire and about the smoke impacts from it. As we look on the left side of your screen, that's the first time we've seen white smoke in quite some time, which means those fire crews are finally be able to get some water on it. But again, I mean, all of this is the 60 freeway right here. This is the 710. So if you need to get your bearings, that's where that is. This is the 710 that comes down here and the 5. So when you draw kind of a thing here, you got Vernon, Commerce, all of these areas that are now going to be in a part of this advisory area. Again, the only place that is under this, my computer is just not going to play along with me. The only place that is under this shelter-in-place order is that original area, the LAFD 1279. The fire is basically right there. But even to the west, now you've got this area south of the 10, and then all the way down into Vernon here, parts of Bell, Commerce, and then all the way back up here into LA County's area, Monterey Park, a portion of that, and then back into the Boyle Heights area. So it's a pretty significant chunk of land that they are concerned about as far as air quality goes. And that really is, I mean, yes, this is a huge fire. That warehouse is a huge issue here. But when we're talking about impacts to our communities, we're talking about the smoke, we're talking about the air quality, and all of those things, Juan and Amy, that are all happening right nearby this.
Mike, earlier you were saying Union Pacific Rail lines are being held back. Can you see them in the map here, just to give viewers an idea?
So yeah, and let's see. So if you look at my computer, okay, so great. So this is the fire again, and you can actually see it on the map here. They identify it as this Big Bear. That's the facility we're talking about, and those rail lines are these right here. So they're obviously very, very close to the fire. In addition, and Des is looking at some of them right there on your screen now that you see too on the left-hand side. Those are all the rail lines. Now, some of them aren't moving. Some of them weren't moving to begin with, but they did ask them for them to at least be paused, you know, as they kind of try to sort all of this out. There is obviously a massive impact to the neighborhood too. I mean, there's fire apparatus everywhere that are going to be trying to deal with this. But again, the big headline here as we get, Des, I think some of your Helco ships are just about close. We got Fire 6 and Fire 5 that are inbound. Fire 3 is also up, but they're getting close. They're coming over like the downtown area right now. So hopefully we will see this. And I just learned too, LAPD now says they are on a tactical alert as a result of this. So citywide tactical alert due to the fire. This is in Hollenbeck Division. The tactical alert began about 15 minutes ago. Tactical alert, as we know, we've dealt with this with protests and other things. No one goes home. Everyone stays on. Anybody who's not in uniform gets in uniform and can come down here to assist. And that's for a number of reasons. Traffic control is going to be LAPD's big issue they're going to have to deal with here. But too, if this turns into a situation where they have to do evacuations, what have you, LAPD will be able to do that. So LAPD now in a citywide tactical alert as a result of this fire.
And you know, there's so much going on with that, as you mentioned, all of these officers that are going to be in the area.
Yep.
And people just get curious. It's human nature, and they want to go outside, they want to see. But this is really one of those times when you need to stay inside. Don't
Right.
go outside to look.
No.
Stay tuned right
Stay
here.
away.
We're showing you
Yeah.
the best vantage point that you can get by just joining us. And, you know, stay indoors, keep the windows closed, turn off those ACs, because this is not anything that you want to be breathing in.
No, not at all. I mean, this is significant. And I mean, the fact that we can see it from so many different of our cameras too also lets you know just how big of a deal this is. Was that Wilson? Yeah, that's our Mount Wilson camera. So that's significant distance that obviously that we're looking at this from. This is from our, say it one more time, Vinny? LAX. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean, this is everywhere. You can see it from literally all over the region here, which of course is, you know, a big deal. That's downtown LA, I believe, where you can see that. Look at that huge like shadow cloud that has plumed up there on the left, which that was so crazy to me. Is when, you know, earlier when Desmond was first overhead, the area of town that was just under this dark cloud, literally dark cloud because of this, was just so wild.
And just how quickly it moved, that, Mike, it's moved so quickly here over a large area. They've expanded the areas of concern out here. Shelter in place is east of Soto Street to Indiana Street and Boyle Heights. And, I mean, this is the type of situation due to the toxic smoke impact. If you work out outside, you spend some time outside, even if you're not very close to this, it might be a smart idea to stay away from playgrounds and whatnot. I'm sure it looks schools in the area, Mike, are going to be affected tomorrow as well, if they're still in school.
Yeah, LAUSD is out already, but there may be some other, summer camps and other programs. Yeah.
Their parents are working, but you know, this is definitely one of those times we often talk about when there's conditions like this. Children and elderly people are impacted more greatly, but this is certainly one of those situations where everyone really needs to be aware of this dark smoke that is just billowing out of this cold storage facility. And Mike, you've been talking to us about
Yeah.
the fact that this same facility had a fire just a couple years ago.
It did 2024, and in fact, in 2024, it was also then the solar panels that caught fire, and that was the issue. Is that fire 6, Des? Yeah, that's fire 6. So this is what's called a Helco ship, and Des, you can walk us through a little bit more what they use those for, typically on wildfires.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's going to be up here kind of getting a lay of the land and to guide the other helicopters in. And it sounds like there may be another one that may be coming in for a water drop right now. So kind of more for reconnaissance now at this point. And I'm wondering if that's why the firefighters, we just saw them get off the roof after they went through so much damage, come up and drag those heavy hose lines up here, and they had some water on it. But now we're seeing them come down from the roof, and that's either because they're moving back into defensive mode. I mean, those solar, I mean, you see how closely it's creeping to the edge of the building there. They were definitely in a precarious situation. So it could be because they're back in defensive mode, or it may be because they're coming in for a water drop as well. So he's going to guide one of the other ships in here, hopefully, and hopefully we'll see a water drop here, and we'll see just how effective that will be. And I guess hopefully if there's some way that they can drop it, kind of spread it out a little bit,
Yeah.
so that it doesn't hit the roof so forcefully and punch a hole through the roof, and then you could have burning solar panels falling in there. So we'll see what their assessment is if they do end up dropping water on it. Like we've been saying, it's definitely a rare occurrence when it comes to helicopter drops on structures like that.
And any word from Lineage yet, Mike? Have they said anything?
I'm listening to it. So right now, so they had the Firecopter Fire 5 hold over the 6th Street Bridge while they kind of look at it, but it looks like he is moving back inbound now. So we'll see if they're going to be able to do a drop on it. I mean, that certainly would be helpful, as Desmond mentioned, if they can do it in such a way where it doesn't, compromise the integrity of the roof to have things go inside. It looks like there's a second fire helicopter that's over like the Elysian Park, Montecito Heights area. That's kind of pushed into the south as well. So they maybe come in here and drop some water on it as well. As we mentioned, the city has, even since we last checked, extended the kind of a warning area that they've been dealing with and talking about here for people that are in the area and will be impacted by the smoke. And Des, it looks like, I don't know if you see that fire helicopter, Fire 5, looks like he's moving in right now. He's right over the river. So we'll see if we see him coming in and what he's going to do. They had those ladder pipes up there. I will say they have less ladder pipes on now on the left side of the building. Maybe that's because they're confident in the wind direction and where that was burning. Hunter Sowards is on her way over there to this fire, and sorry, I'm just listening to. They're going to do the drop from the north to the south. There he is, right there.
This is something that we don't often see.
Yeah.
A helicopter dropping water on a building in the city. These are typically used for wildfires, and this is certainly unusual. We're watching because we do know that those are solar panels on the roof. I guess what has been left that hasn't been burned, but we are watching. And
There it is.
There it is, right there.
Wow. And it's crazy. You look at that. I mean, it's good they're doing it, but hardly it made a dent. I mean, you saw that little bit of gray smoke that went in there. I mean, it just shows you how hot this is burning. I just wanted to finish. Hunter Sowards is on her way, and she described this, and I think this is a good way to describe this, especially if you're further away from this. She's on the 101 coming through the valley. Describes it as a very big storm that looks like it's coming in. The way those clouds have been forming and the way that smoke column has been forming. So kind of tuned it to that and how that's all moving. And yeah, so
We often talk about how fires do change the weather, but usually that is during a wildfire.
right.
The sky gets so dark, sometimes the winds pick up, but because of the size of this building and this fire, as Hunter was saying, you can kind of see it happening in this situation as well.
Yeah, and I was just listening to some of the radio traffic. They were happy with that drop that just happened, so they're going to shuttle back and forth and get some water. And it looks like Fire 3 is going to come in and they'll do a drop while Fire 5 goes back and gets some more water. And then again, Fire 6 is above doing what's called Helco and just coordinating the drops with everybody. They did reiterate everybody's out of the building. There were no hazards as far as being able to drop water on it. I mean, obviously they were aware of the ladder pipes that are around there, but they're at a much higher distance than that. So, hopefully this will start to make a dent. Fire 3 is coming in. Right-hand side of your screen is new ground video that we've got as well from the area where you can see some public safety security officers kind of doing their thing to keep people out. And there's that smoke. That's the smoke that has got everybody so concerned right now that you can see just is really shooting up into the air. Here comes Fire 3 doing a drop right there in Desmond's shot on the left-hand side of your screen. Going to drop off some more water here. And they'll just keep doing this. And as we've all pointed out, a very rare occurrence to see firefighting aircraft be used on a fire that is not a brush fire, a commercial fire. It's very rare for them to do that. But I think it, again, as we've talked about, it really kind of shows you the magnitude of what's going on. That was a good one. That put up a lot of white smoke after that. Yeah.
And I'm looking, Mike, at the map here. It looks like Lineage has at least 10 or 12 other facilities
Yeah.
in this area here. It looks like they have, like I said, 10 or 12 just south of the 101, the 60, the 5 freeway there. All Lineage cold storage facilities. And I guess they operate till 5 p.m. Their operation hours. So this is one of those, the one in Boyle Heights we're seeing here on fire. Still no word on what started this fire right around the 2:30 mark, 2:30 in the afternoon here, when a small fire started on the solar panels there of the building and quickly grew to what we're seeing right now, and something we haven't seen before in a very long time.
Copy.
Not when it comes to a commercial fire. We saw a water dropping helicopter trying to help with the fire.
Exactly, and we've been seeing these solar panels burn, but Mike, have you heard, is that actually where they think the fire started, or is that what we first saw burning?
Well, so that's what we first saw burning, and that was the initial report, I should say, from LAFD. So Desmond's clearing out right now to get fuel. We're looking at a second helicopter that's going to provide these aerial images for us. And your answer to your question is the original report was a fire on the roof. Whether or not that is where it started, or was it actually the solar panels that first caught fire, what have you, all of that is still going to be worked out. But that was the initial report, was a fire on the roof. I also wanted to let you know two things. We did just hear from AQMD. Really, AQMD is kind of reiterating some things that the LAFD has said, which is run an air purifier, avoid using a fan or a swamp cooler because they can bring in polluted air from outdoors indoors. And they also say that they are monitoring particulate matter data from their regional air monitors. Now, they have not said what those are showing, if they're showing any increased levels of anything that anybody should be concerned about. They haven't said that to us yet, just to say that they are monitoring them. I'm going to follow up right now and ask that question. We'd also tried to get the fire department on the phone to do a phone interview with us about what's going on, and they tell us they are far too busy trying to field community phone calls and deal with the public to be able to speak with us. Totally understandable. I can only imagine the amount of 911 calls that are coming in just from people seeing the smoke plume, not understanding that this is a fire that's already being, kind of dealt with.
So far, we haven't heard from Lineage at all, right?
We've not. We've reached out. We've got a couple of different contacts that we have tried to get a hold of, and they have not responded to us. I know that there is a company representative that is already down there with fire crews, and that goes into a lot of the decision making when they decide whether or not they're going to do these water drops on the building and things like that. Is how was this building designed? Is there, like I said, is there this firewall, that's preventing the fire from spreading into the building? Good news, bad news about the previous fire. Bad news that it happened. Good news is LAFD is already familiar with this building. So the crews that responded here may be some of the same crews that did back in 2024, or at least the battalion chiefs. They probably already have a decent idea of the layout of this building, the makeup, where the firewalls are, where the breaks are, and that probably gave them at least somewhat of a little bit of a head start by having to deal with all of this.
No small feat, Mike. Look at the video there on the right side.
Right.
I mean, these are huge warehouses filled with equipment, right? Filled with food. Apparently, this is a cold storage facility well known in the area. I was mentioning earlier, I saw on the map here, they have several locations all spread through this area here, just south of the freeways with us. The freeways connect here. So, again, this fire right now burning, a big concern, of course, for the people out there. Mike said 911 most likely swamped.
Oh, yeah.
People concerned with the potential toxic smoke impact that's basically to affect not only the people in this immediate area of Boyle Heights, but a great part of the Los Angeles area. Of course, we're hosting the World Cup games too. You can only imagine people in
Oh,
for
yeah.
that. But they must be wondering about this fire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're watching as the smoke is blowing to southeast, and we want to check back in with our Liberty Chan, who is keeping a close eye on the temperatures and the wind that is blowing out there. Liberty.
A statement from Lineage.
All right, thank you so much, Liberty. And of course, we've been talking about the concerns of people in the area there who have seen and experienced this fire up close. We want to listen to someone who was in the area here describing what they saw.
We were on the 53rd bridge, and it looked like a small fire. It didn't look too big. It was definitely like a normal fire. Fire was not, but yeah, the heat was almost went off, and it just started getting more dangerous.
You can hear them describe how dangerous it is, yet they're still standing in this area very close to where the smoke is. You can see the smoke behind them.
Yeah, and you just hate to see these young people out there breathing this toxic smoke in. They weren't coughing or anything, but you still know it's not safe. You really don't want to be outside in this. You want to be inside with
Yeah.
those windows closed and the AC's off at this point. Now, we've been talking about Lineage, which is the owner of this cold storage facility. And Mike, you were saying that you did get a statement from them?
Yeah, so we did just hear from a PR company representing Lineage, and we did ask them if they'll join us for a live phone interview. So far, we haven't heard back from them. But their statement says this, quote, Lineages, as we look at the left-hand side of your screen, sorry, really quickly, I just wanted to point it out, another water drop coming in from Fire 3 there, saying, quote, Lineage's top priority is the health and safety of our employees, partners, and the communities in which we live and operate. We are aware of the incident and are working closely with local officials and first responder teams to assess the situation and provide support. This is an evolving matter, and we will provide updates as appropriate. So they also note that they primarily store food products in that specific facility that we've been mentioning, and we've talked about that already. So again, I mean, that's their statement. They're working with it. They're aware of it. Their top priority is safety, et cetera, et cetera. But we still don't know what the potential cause was here or what all went on as we look at video there from Fire 3 that has been making these drops, along with Fire 5 and Fire 6 being the Helco ship up top. So we asked Lineage if they'll join us for a phone interview regarding what's happening at their facility. We'll see if they take us up on that offer. You're seeing there on that graphic on your screen, LAPD officers, they're on a citywide tactical alert right now due to this fire in Boyle Heights. What the tactical alert means as we look at another water drop is essentially that nobody's going anywhere. Officers are being held over and they will be assigned as needed citywide. They're bringing in resources from all over the places. We're starting to look at a little bit of white smoke. Every time we see one of those drops, we see some of the white smoke that comes in. Unfortunately, it hasn't lasted too long. As soon as we get the drop in there, the white smoke comes up, and then unfortunately we see some black smoke. And Juan and Amy, it's got to be so hot down there. I mean, that fire has got to be burning so incredibly hot at this point. It's been burning for so long with such intensity as you look at the smoke there from the helicopter. I want to reiterate, if we can, go back to my computer here. Thanks, Vinny, and just kind of show the people that what the area that we are talking about. Again, the area that is shaded right here, that is your immediate kind of shelter in place order area that's going on right there. The fire itself is burning right here. It's this facility that you see on the map called Big Bear. That's right off of Union Pacific Avenue and Prado Street, just near Indiana Street. But your concern area is everything that is shaded in blue here, and that's what really the big impact to our communities has been here, is the smoke column that has been essentially kind of pushing up and basically this way. I know they've got it over here and up here, though we really haven't seen any smoke kind of in that area. It's been primarily pushing, as I say, down kind of into this area right here. And what we've been kind of looking, and I'm just going to do a very crude drawing here, but you know, if this is the building where it's burning, we've seen the smoke kind of come up and then settle back down into the neighborhoods that are down here. And that's, you know, kind of been what we've been worried about here, is that, you know, some of these homes that are maybe right in this area, yes, they're very close to the fire, but the smoke is almost kind of going up and around them and landing in some of these other communities over here that may be a little bit more directly impacted. Regardless, though, AQMD telling us that they are, you know, telling people that if they see the smoke, smell the smoke, if they're in this area, close your windows, don't run swamp coolers, don't invite anything that's going to bring in air from the outside.
Yes, it is, you know, you might think that you're not very close, but, you know, if you can see smoke outside your windows, that's a perfect reason for you to stay inside. Don't go out and be curious and try and
Yeah.
look around and see what's happening, see how close you are. If you see that smoke, stay indoors, keep the windows closed. We know it's a little warm out there, but, you know, keep those windows closed and turn off the AC, because you really don't want to bring this smoke into your home.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, to you or your family members.
Right. Oh, go ahead, one.
Go ahead, Mike. No, I was gonna say, you're definitely going to smell it.
Yeah.
We saw another water drop here, a lot of white smoke again, but still the black smoke continues to build.
Which is good. It's nice to see that white smoke. I want to ask, Vinny, that video you have in preview, if we can show people that, the fire there on the right side of your screen, that's how it started. When SkyCal first got overhead, about an hour ago, yeah, I mean, it was right around, you know, 3:30 that we got overhead. I was ready to send him home. You know, I didn't think this was going to materialize really into anything more than it did. And now Vinny's got the video he can show us. In just a matter of minutes, it turned into this huge fireball that just kind of shot into the sky. And really, truthfully, when you go back and look at the timeline in our editing system, from the time that it was the first video to the time it was this, is maybe 5 minutes. I mean, yeah, it just really took off very, very quickly. What was the cause of that? Was it this ammonia issue that they began having that we saw kind of spraying off into the building right here that Vinny's going to show us, shooting out of the doors there? Look at that. You can see the vapor that's coming out. That obviously was great concern to the fire crews, who also backed out and got out of there until the hazmat crews could kind of sort things out and figure out what the situation was that was going on in here. But look at that. That's intense.
We don't know what that is, Mike, right? Whether they're putting compressors
Yeah, we don't know.
maybe flammable.
Right, we had heard the ammonia issue, which is, you know, common with cold storage and things like that. But whether or not that's what was shooting out of there, or if, as to your point, Juan, if they were, you know, releasing some sort of other gas that was potentially flammable as part of an emergency procedure, we're not sure.
It just goes to show you the danger of the flare-up, right? Whether it's underground,
Oh, yeah.
or it's on an industrial building. You think the fire is out for a second. We certainly did.
Yeah.
We can see whether it was fueled by an ammonia leak or something else. The fire roared back to life, and it's now consumed almost half of this building.
Yeah, you know, I was doing a little digging about solar panels, because we don't often hear about this. And what I was reading is that, you know, it's not common for a solar panel to burn
Right.
like this. They're pretty, you know, safe as far as fires, but a lot of times it's what's around it. It's wiring. It's you know, faulty other things that might actually cause the fire around it. And then, of course, if it gets hot enough, it is going to burn. But this is certainly uncommon, and very uncommon, that we actually see helicopters making water drops on buildings like this. That is what we see out when we've got these
Yeah.
wildfires going out in the land, but not in a city building.
Yeah, you know, an urban situation for them to do these water drops, I can maybe, you know, in the 10 years that I've been here, count on one hand how many times I've seen that. Yeah, and in addition, I mean, and in addition, like, there's the last time I can really remember it happening was there was this house fire that was burning near Dodger Stadium, and it was during a game, and I think they just it was abandoned, and so they did one drop on it, and that was it. But we're talking multiple drops. There's another fire helicopter, Fire One, that's inbound as well to start doing drops on this too. So I mean, that's a big deal, and we talked about this earlier. Certainly, there's a company representative that has been coordinating with fire departments. The company has said as much in a statement about that, but what they may have been waiting for before they pulled that trigger, because we talked about this earlier, you run the risk of building collapse and all of those things. They may have learned something about the construction of the building that made them comfortable to do that made them think that there won't be a collapse risk if we do that, which then kind of leads me back to the thought process of the inside of the building may not be on fire. It may just be the roof and these solar panels. That would be incredible, and that would be, I mean, an ideal situation, because you think about this. If the inside of the building was on fire and the fire was what they call through the roof, which is ground and through the roof, then dumping water on it. Dumping water onto it, and the potential of the building collapse, it doesn't seem like a risk that the fire department would usually take. So I'm wondering if they have information that this is isolated just to the roof.
There's now a third helicopter that's coming in with water dropping capability. So
Yeah.
those first two must be doing a great job.
Right, yeah.
Let's bring in some more.
This is Fire 3, Fire 5 is getting water, and then Fire 1's coming in.
You know what's interesting though, we've been seeing all of this smoke coming from the roof, as you were saying, Mike, but we haven't seen smoke coming from any of the sides.
Exactly.
There's nowhere else where the smoke is coming, which does somewhat allude to the fact that maybe that fire is contained just to that roof and hasn't gone through the building and coming out of the side.
Right, and that's what I was looking at earlier. And to your point, Amy, there was also a shot we had at one point where you saw one of the it's a bird. I thought it was a drone. Sorry. Where you saw one of the roll-up doors that looked like it had some water coming out of it. So I agree with you. We've not seen that. We've not seen any smoke coming from any part of the building except the roof. So in an ideally we wouldn't have this fire to begin with. But in an ideal situation, you would hope that the fire is not happening inside of the building. I also need to point out, it looks like the smoke column is lessening a bit, doesn't it?
I was going to say that too, Mike.
Yeah. If you look, when we look at it full, I mean, it's definitely still there. But it looks like it's lessening a bit, which is really, really good news. I mean, it's catching something new here. You see that really thick black smoke there on the left and those flames. So it's burning a new pocket. But hopefully we're going to start to see a corner being turned here, and the bulk of this hopefully will be done soon.
And then what follows afterwards, right, Mike? The community concern, the health concerns, the neighborhood. People are going to want to hear from AQMD what those monitors are picking up. We were talking about earlier, these solar panels are made of glass and plastic,
Right.
aluminum, silicon, copper, even have traces amounts of silver and lead, all burning and being pushed up into the area. And the darker the smoke just seems just so dangerous. And even with those water drops, we see those little glimpses of white smoke, which seem very hopeful, but then the black smoke continues. And look at that, Mike. The fire is now almost to the edge of the building.
Right.
So not much left to burn there once it gets to the edge.
Yeah, and you've got some of that, then that's, hopefully there was not any kind of embers and things shooting, so it doesn't catch anything else on the other side. They've got those ladder pipes that are up there. Vinny, I want to ask, I just put in a graphic for you for a text to desk. Somebody had a question that I just kind of wanted to answer here as we're getting some of these texts in. But yeah, you're looking at the fire here that is pushing through. And yeah, lots of people had questions about the water dropping helicopters and all of those things. This is a question that came in from Mark, I believe, who's watching us in LA, who asked where are the helicopters getting their water from? They're actually going up, and they're going up all the way into Montecito Heights to get the water. So it's driving, that would take a good chunk of time to get up there, but they are going up into the Montecito Heights area. There's what's called, and there's the question that Mark asked. It's called a helispot. So essentially, they've got a pre-positioned, determined area where they set up an engine who gets there and is able to have these water drops that can come in, and they'll just take the water right out of the bucket there, or if there's a hydrant that's set up, sometimes that's the situation as well. But that's where they're getting the water from, and then they're coming back down to the fire here in the Boyle Heights area.
That's incredible, Mike. And they're just reservoirs.
Oh, there you go.
There. You want to see them?
No, it's not even a reservoir. It's called a helipot. So I don't know if this particular one, if they're filling up a pool that they're sucking out of. Sometimes these, if they're more designed ones, they'll actually land, leave the helicopter running, and essentially stick a hose to it, and just from basically a hydrant. I mean, you know, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but to give you an essential way that that's doing. But no, it's not a reservoir. It's a helipot where they're actually putting down, and they're either taking water out of a bucket, like a Bambi bucket, or they're actually hooking a hose up to it and filling it up that way.
Seems like there would be more, closer area to
Yeah.
get water, but we do want to check in with our Luz Delia Caballero. She is on the 10 East coming from Culver City, and Luz Delia, you can describe to us what you can see from your vantage point.
We have definitely seen this plume of smoke for miles. It's very, very thick and somewhat alarming. It's almost eerie when you're driving in, your typical LA traffic at around 4:30, back-to-back traffic, right? So you really have a great vantage point to see what's going on, and you just see this plume of smoke covering downtown. And obviously you have airplanes with banners, which I'm guessing have World Cup signage, and so it's kind of strange to see something like that, right? For people who are commuting back, they're probably wondering exactly what's going on, and from our vantage point and knowing what's happening, it's still very impressive to see this plume of smoke extending miles and miles and miles. I mean, we've been driving on the freeway from Culver City down. We could see, the dark plume of smoke only getting thicker and thicker, and then I'm assuming with the wind, it's only traveling farther and farther. But yeah, super impressive on our end. Very eerie, just seeing downtown covered in this dark, thick plume of what appears to be smoke.
Luz Delia, CHP is saying it's not affecting traffic right now. Is that the case? That you're seeing just regular heavy 4:30 traffic on a Wednesday?
Yeah, honestly, just regular traffic as of now, but I would also say that we see a lot of people looking up, so I'm guessing, as time goes on, we stop to look, and then, by the time you notice that traffic is going forward, there will be subsequent delays, I'm sure, but as of now, it just seems like a regular Wednesday at 4:30.
Yeah, and Luz Delia, you were talking about the eerie sight, and so often when we're covering, wildfires, we notice that a huge fire can really change the look of the sky. It almost seems to change the weather. Is that what you're seeing from this fire, which, is so unusual that a building fire would actually cause that? But is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, Amy, from other fires that we've covered, I think the typical sign is smoke actually covering the sun, which we don't see at all. But I will say that it is strange just to see downtown covered in this dark cloud of smoke that is just all encompassing, and then to see it stretching for so long. When we were in Culver City, when you all called us out to say, hey, start heading over there, we immediately looked to the sky, and once we started traveling in the direction, we immediately knew, oh my gosh, this isn't just a small fire, this is big. And the more you start driving, the more you realize how big this fire is. And of course, signs are everywhere, especially when you're on the freeway and you're in bumper-to-bumper traffic, and all you can do is really look forward.
Yeah, big fire with potentially very toxic impacts to the community there. You can see on the left side of your screen the fire still going right now. On the right side of your screen, this is from our Skycam network. You can see downtown LA there in the background, and you can just see the black smoke up above it. It's going to be traveling quite a distance for what we can imagine there, as long as it continues to burn. You're being recommended to, of course, stay inside the home, not to run the air conditioning. Keep those air purifiers going if you have one, and try to limit any outdoor activity, at least for the next few days or so. It may be a couple of days before we do hear from the AQMD to tell us exactly what the concern is. They are monitoring the area using their regional air monitors, but again, it's going to take a while with so much burning right now.
I really quickly just want to point out, you guys, as we're looking at these pictures from the helicopter, we're finally seeing underneath of the smoke. I mean, if you look at the top of the building there, it does not look like there was involvement inside. I mean, for the first time, we can still see the roof. Now the shot's zooming out, but you can see the roof of the building there, which is really good news, because that means that there likely wasn't any involvement on the inside. And here's fire one. These fire helicopters have really made a huge difference in this firefight. I mean, it just simply wasn't something that those crews on the ground were going to be able to handle. And then you're kind of left with the option, well, do we just kind of let it burn, or what are we going to do here? But when it comes back in, they'll drop some more water, and then hopefully we'll get another look at the roof here, where you can kind of see that, yes, you do see all the charred remains of what was there from the solar panels that were underneath of it. But yeah, right there, I mean, right behind the flames, just on the top side of the flames, that's a really good drop right there. But look, I mean, yeah, it's a bunch of charred material from the solar panels, but thankfully it doesn't look like it breached the inside of the building, that's a huge win essentially.
And when you do see it, Mike, you can see almost like the metal frame of the solar panels still on the roof there of the building. So that would be some great news. Any idea, Mike, who calls it the Big Bear?
They do, the facility lineage themselves, yeah.
The Big Bear, and it is a very big facility.
It is a very big facility, and as we mentioned, this is a food processing and cold storage kind of facility that is been here for a while. And as we round out the 4 o'clock hour here, we'll bring up to our viewers again that this is not the first time the fire department has fought a fire of solar panels on the roof of this same facility here. So, what is the cause, and is there a bigger issue here with the company that you've had 2 of these similar fires within just a couple of years, in the same facility, the same building? That's all going to be certainly investigated and looked at, and Cal OSHA is going to get involved in all of this now. Certainly the fire department will conduct their investigation. I'm sure elected leaders are going to have a lot of concerns about what's gone on here and the impact to the community.
And future placement of these type of facilities in neighborhoods, Mike, I'm sure the community is going to not want these warehouses and storage facilities in their neighborhood.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and look, this is communities have had this debate for a very long time. I mean, this part of town here, especially in the Boyle Heights area. Boyle Heights, yes, but then when you get south into like the Vernon and the Bell and all of those are very, very commercial areas. The majority of them, thanks, Vinny, looking at my map right here. So again, the fire itself is in the corner of the shelter-in-place order, which is here. And then you've got all the rail systems that are kind of in this area. But then when you look into the south, I mean, the city of Vernon is known, and Maywood's a little bit more residential, but Vernon, parts of Bell, that's a very, very, very commercial area. It's a very heavy warehouse district. So we look at another drop there from the LA Fire Department's helicopter. So yeah, I mean, this is, in a more commercial area, but is now certainly impacting the lives of the people that live, nearby it, as the fire is mostly, we're looking good there. Look at that on the right side of the screen. I mean, you've got the fire that is pushing into the solar panels there on the left, but the wind is kind of keeping that at bay a little bit. I mean, the bigger concern was there to the right, and for the first time since this started, well, since it really, kind of took off, we can see underneath of the smoke there, and we can see those solar panels now.
Yeah, I mean, these helicopters are definitely making a big impact on this fire. We still see so much of that black smoke, but not the same intensity
Yeah.
as we saw even just 30 minutes ago. They are really making a big dent in this, and we keep seeing them. I mean, those 3 helicopters are really rotating. They are getting
Yep.
in there. They are making those drops very quickly, very precisely, and we've been talking about this for a while, how unusual it is to see these water-dropping helicopters, making these drops on a building.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to ask, Vin, if we can come to my computer one more time here, and I'll show everybody kind of what we're talking about the helicopters that are up. Okay, so here they are. This is Fire 5 that you see right here. So this is the fire itself. This is what's called the Helco ship. This is the one that's coordinating all of this. And then you have your water-dropping helicopters, and they're just kind of doing these shuttles. This is the helispot that I was referencing up here in Montecito Heights off Roberta Street. That's where they're getting the water, and you can see the 3 of them. This one's picking up, this one's on its way back, and that one's heading to go get water. So they're just kind of doing this shuttle back and forth down to the fire here, which again you see it marked on the map here where it says Big Bear. That's the area, everything in purple here. This is all of your rail area, the BNSF area along Washington Boulevard. So all of that is in here, and these are the fire helicopters that are kind of really doing the good work here to try to make sure that we're going to get this under control. And, as we can take those live pictures again full, they have done a very good job. I mean, this is starting to look a lot better than it had before. And probably the only reason for that is because of the water dropping helicopters. I mean, as hard as they were trying with those ladder pipes on the ground, they just were not able to really kind of successfully get into the areas that they needed to be, and not with the amount of water that would have been needed to really make a difference on this. So,
Like earlier, the CHP was saying
yep.
traffic was not being affected on any of the nearby freeways. Is that still the case?
Let me look. Yeah, no SIG alerts as far as I know. I mean, we do know that there's a lot of looky-loo traffic where people are certainly slowing down because this is quite the eyesore that is being spotted from the side of the 5 freeway as you move through the Boyle Heights area. But there is no official SIG alerts. There is no there's nobody slowing things down or doing any traffic breaks or anything like that. But I can tell you, the southbound side of the 5, the southbound side of the 710 is significantly impacted.
And we should update our viewers that this is a fire that started more than 2 hours ago, about 2:35 at Boyle Heights at the Lineage cold storage facility there. And you've got 2 screens here, one from a little earlier when that fire started around 2:35. Didn't look like much, but within just minutes, it was looking like this, just raging fire on that roof, solar panels on top of that roof burning. And on the left side of your screen are the helicopter drops that we keep seeing. Something very unusual to see these helicopter drops happening on a building.
That's right, that smoke being blown through a large area there, creating some concerns, of course, for the community out there. LAPD on tactical alert. Everyone is on shift and at the ready in case they need to be called into duty or at least head into this area if possibly needed. Those water dropping helicopters, they keep doing a great job there. And when we take a look at the wider shot, what's interesting, we mentioned it once, we mentioned it again, it does seem that the thickness of that smoke that we saw earlier is a little less than we're looking at on the right side of your screen, which was earlier when the panels were really burning.
And a little earlier, we did see firefighters on that roof trying to fight that fire. They were then moving off the top of the building for something a little unprecedented with the
Yeah.
water drops on those solar panels. And we also want to mention that there have been no reports of any injuries,
Right.
which is really the best news here. I mean, we're talking about people that were in that building and also firefighters that are really battling this fire, but we want to make sure it stays that way. We want to remind people that you don't want to be outside breathing in this air. Even though the smoke has died down a good bit, you still don't want to be outside breathing this in. You want to be inside with those windows closed, and don't run your air conditioner bringing in some of that smoke into your house.
Yeah, for absolutely. And we were waiting. I did ask. I did ask the air people, AQMD. Sorry about that. To tell us what their readings are saying and if they've gotten any of that information yet. So far, they've not gotten back to us. Sorry. Yeah. I'm just listening to some of the radio traffic. I think we were going to go over to Liberty though, really quickly.
Yeah, let's go to Liberty Chan. She's monitoring the conditions out there. When the sun starts to set, the winds could possibly pick up. Liberty, how are things looking like?
Hi, and Maurice is in there, but Juan's doing the 5, right? Yeah, so I don't. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, because she was like telling me I needed to talk while we swap out, but Juan, but we can both do it. And then the other thing too is I don't know if anybody's told you, but so we're gonna lose the chopper soon. Yeah. I mean, they told us 15 ago. So they told us 15 minutes, 20 minutes ago. Yeah. I mean, any moment now. Yeah. Do we not have anybody on the ground yet? I mean, they're in the area. Maybe they're trying to get set up. Yeah, I mean, he's getting fuel. Yeah, okay. Bye.
temperatures are going to cooperate, it seems like, right? It's not as hot today as it was over the last couple of days. Yeah, we'll be monitoring all the conditions out there. Liberty, thank you. Look at this, Amy. You're looking at the downtown LA cam right there. Looks a lot better.
It sure does.
Yeah.
A lot of white smoke.
In the grand scheme of things, it does not look as dense or as heavy. And even our live picture there, Mike, showing a
Yeah.
lot of white smoke as well.
Yeah, it's looking a lot better. I mean, you know, what is still burning is that patch of solar panels on the left. That's, which ironically is kind of where all this started. But, you know, the chopper's getting a really good look at kind of what's left here. And again, thankfully, what we was suspected was the case was that the fire did not make its way into the building, which is, of course, good news, because that, I mean, as we know with Kimberly-Clark, that prompted a whole host of other issues with, you know, the community still dealing with that thing being smoldering every now and again and starting to be torn down, and just very much longer lasting issues with that than with this. I mean, it, you know, they'll have to do a lot of cleanup, and I'm sure building and safety is going to come out, and hazmat's going to have to come out, and there's going to be a lot of repairs and damage assessments that are going to need to be made after this fire, but hopefully it'll be a much faster process than the whole thing burning to the ground like Kimberly-Clark did.
Lessons learned from this fire too, Mike, right? I mean, if the building below did not catch fire and burn, that's going to be a big save for the entire community there, because right now it does look like things are getting a little better. We're not seeing a lot of flare-ups. We're seeing, yes, it's still smoky out there, but the smoke is not as heavy. It's not as black. And we are seeing a large amount of that white smoke coming from the building.
Yeah, and one of the other things that we were talking about a little bit earlier is that all the smoke that we have been seeing is coming from that roof. We have
Right.
not seen any smoke coming from the sides, any of the bay doors, any type of openings in this building. We have not seen smoke come from that. So that is also a positive sign that hopefully this fire has been contained to just the roof.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we're assuming it right now. We just did hear, I just want to bring this up really quickly. We did hear from LUSD. There is a school in the area that they did put themselves on a shelter in place. And again, Amy, as you mentioned, for summer programs that are starting or summer school that is in the area as well. So, you know, they're taking the same precautions that everybody else has been asked to take, which is basically, you know, shelter in place, keep your doors and windows closed, and don't be breathing this stuff in, as it's very toxic. And again, it does, thankfully, is starting to look a lot better than it had before. Then, you know, when those water dropping helicopters really made a difference. Now, I do know, I was listening to the radio here, Juan, and it sounds like at least one of them may have to go for fuel soon. So we're going to be losing one of them. But look, I mean, rotating 3 of these helicopters in and out has just made all of the difference here fighting this fire, as we watch Fire 3 come in and make another drop. And again, we have to point out how unusual this is to see water dropping helicopters be involved in the fight of a commercial fire. Double-edged sword here, the building was so big that it was hard for the ground crews to be able to make any effective movements on this. But because the building is so big, it's less of an impact when you have the water dropping helicopters come in.
And also for the safety of the firefighters.
Yeah.
I mentioned just how big the square footage of that roof is on the building. Just to get a firefighter, as tiny as they look when we saw those firefighters up on the roof, to get to the middle where the fire was burning, those panels were burning, it's virtually impossible.
It is, and it'd be interesting one. Somebody else texted the desk and they pointed this out. It's hard to see in the shot right there, but on the edge of the building, on the skirt of the building there are orange construction cones with what appears to be either kind of some caution tape or something, which makes me wonder if construction was going on top of the building. Something that would have people up there where they would want to put those cones in place to warn people about the edges of the building. We'll see if we get another shot when the chopper comes in here. Well, now it's going to be to the bottom of the screen, but I noticed that early on. Somebody else pointed it out when they texted the desk here. But yeah, you see kind of, and they're all kind of wonky now because of everything that's gone on, but you see some of those cones that are down there. That makes us wonder maybe there was a construction issue going on here. We know the fire department had told me over the phone a couple of months ago that so many of these fires are being started because of construction-related matters. That everything is, people are doing construction, equipment is causing these fires. There's malfunctions, there's sparks, there's what have you that are starting this. So it'll be interesting to see if this was a construction issue that began all of this, or exactly what happened here. And of course, we'll wait for the fire department will conduct that investigation and figure that out.
Look at that, Michael. A lot of water being sprayed there. Is that a typical fire ladder?
That's a ladder pipe. That's a lot of water, and I want to let our control room and our viewers know that I think this our helicopter is going to go refuel. So we're going to lose this picture here. We'll have to pivot to a Skycam or maybe some video that we've been showing a little bit earlier. But it's a good shot here as the chopper leaves. You see that water that's coming off of the ladder pipe there and shooting onto those solar panels, and all of the damage that has been done. But Juan, thankfully, as we have been discussing here, does not appear that the fire has entered the building at all. And is just kind of secure here to the roof, which is, of course, a really good scenario.
Basically, what you were telling us earlier, Mike, is just the way that this building was constructed that most likely helped by having some sort of separation, a firewall between the roof and the storage facility below.
Right, and that's the good news. You look at the building, it's a newer construction building. I don't know exactly when it was built, but it does appear to be some sort of newer construction, and there is, a lot more code that goes on to this that requires those buildings to have fire breaks and firewalls and all of those things here that hopefully made a pretty big difference here. I mean, those solar panels, though, they burned hot and they burned for a very long time.
Yes, indeed, and we're continuing to follow breaking news here as CBS LA at 5 o'clock begins right now.
And we have breaking news on CBS LA at 5. A massive warehouse fire in Boyle Heights, sending a plume of toxic smoke into the surrounding neighborhoods. Mike?
Yeah, and Pat, this fire started about 2:30 this afternoon, and it started actually very small. To be honest, we thought SkyCal was not going to hang out here for very long because things had looked pretty good, and then we walked away and came back, and that really turned out not to be the case here when this fire really kind of took a turn and things got a little bit rough. Those flames catching those solar panels, and it really shot through the roof. Let's catch our viewers up on what this building is. It's called Lineage. It is a cold storage food facility. They boast on their website that they are the largest, most dynamic ones type of company that exists here. This warehouse is very, very, very big. Now, black smoke had been shooting up into the air for a significant amount of time until the LAFD brought in water-dropping helicopters, which really made a significant difference in this firefight. I want to ask the control room to pull up my computer here because I want to show people what the impact to the community is right now, and that is in the way of the smoke and air quality that is happening throughout the city of, not only the city of LA, but into other cities as well and into Los Angeles County. Thank you. On my computer here is the map that we have been talking about. I want to point out the facility that we're talking about. It's called Big Bear. That's what Lineage calls it. It's right here. It's on the corner of the shelter-in-place order. And as we pull out, everything that is shaded in blue is an advisory area for the smoke that has been pouring out into these neighborhoods. And, for a while, what was interesting is we were talking about it, and forgive my crude drawing here, but if this is the building, most of the smoke was going up and then kind of landing over here, and that's because, as Liberty was telling us, kind of that atmosphere kind of cap that was pushing the smoke back down onto the community. So really, at first, when this was going on, the communities down here that are near the kind of the 710 and the 5 in the Commerce and the East LA area, they were the ones that were kind of seeing the bulk of the smoke as it would shoot into the air and lay back down. Lots of progress, Pat and Juan, have been made with the thanks of the LA City Fire helicopters that have been dropping water.
And now dealing, Pat and Mike, with the potential toxic smoke impact.
Yeah.
Well, we'd like to know, when we can, a little later on maybe, when all is said and done, just how many people are actually impacted by just that smoke alone, since they did not evacuate anyone. And we heard reports that this fire itself, well, actually that black plume of smoke was seen as far away, Long Beach to San Gabriel Valley. And the fact that they're having people shelter in place has been such a daunting thing to watch ever since, I guess, about 2:30 this afternoon. Glad to see that they are making some progress. I want to bring in Desmond Shaw at this point because, Des, you've been up here for a while. So can you describe what's going on? Okay, Des. Mike, you're going to say
Yeah, no, Des is coming back. He's getting fuel right now, so he's almost back. But, Pat, what was interesting is when this fire first started at 2:30, we had Des over it, and it was so small that I didn't think we were going to be doing anything with this. And then, we walked away to go do something, and one of our executive producers said, hey, we got to get on the air. And I was frankly confused because It didn't seem like that, big of a deal. And we counted, and on the our editing system here, from the time that it looked that small to the time it really kind of reared its ugly head and took over this facility was about 4 minutes. So we don't know exactly what happened. There was an ammonia leak at one point. I don't know if our control room has any of the video of that we can show you. It doesn't look like we have it ready, but it was just a vapor cloud shooting out of the sides of the building here. And we're trying to figure out if that was an intentional emergency system that was draining things, or exactly what happened there. But it's been a very intense firefight for sure.
Are you hearing more about the ammonia leak? Possible ammonia leak in here?
Yeah, I mean, I've asked. The AQMD got back to us and said they're monitoring their reading stations for particulate matter. We've asked them what those are showing. So far, we've not heard back from them.
And who would have thought that solar panels could actually be involved in this kind of, I'm going to call it destruction. We're
Yeah.
talking about a 500,000 square foot warehouse, and thank goodness I believe I've heard Mike Yuan and Desmond, of course, talking about that there is a strong possibility that it did not come from inside the warehouse where a lot of produce and
Yeah.
other things are stored, which is good, because you can imagine just how many chemicals have been released in the
Right.
building. We understand that Desmond is back on board with this, so Desmond, it's send it up to you.
Hey, Pat and Juan, Mike, we are just getting our bearings here coming out of Long Beach Airport, so still getting back into position here, but definitely a really big improvement from when we left to get fuel. No doubt that those, helicopters dropping water have made a really, really huge difference. I mean, we're definitely not out of the woods yet, but just as I'm creeping closer and getting a better shot, the fact that we, no longer have this massive plume that is kind of kicking up all over the place. Unfortunately, a lot of that material that we saw earlier, all that combusted stuff, has settled into these neighborhoods and is just going to be extremely concerning in the future as we see another water drop there coming in. So it's really been a great kind of 1-2 punch with the helicopters on this. And firefighters, they've been on and off the roof and all of these ladder pipes, just so many resources on board this one. But definitely seeing a lot of improvement here as our shot gets better. We're going to get posted up probably about a mile to the south where we were earlier, but monitoring this now for more than 2.5 hours. A very long way to go, but it certainly looks like the corner has been turned as far as the firefighting effort here. Juan, Pat, and Mike.
It sure looks like it, that's for sure.
It does. It makes you wonder, just in terms of the helicopter dropping water. We have mentioned
Yeah.
this over the times that we've been talking about fires, where they've been on buildings or otherwise, where we thought, oh, it's so strong, it would be nice if they could do a helicopter drop. And you go, well, no, because that could possibly damage the structure.
Yeah.
This was needed, and that building is big enough, and it does make you wonder what could be happening to the produce that's inside, not just from the chemicals, but even maybe from these water drops. But right now, so very necessary.
Very necessary, Pat. And we were talking about this earlier, and we'll bring it up again for our viewers here at 5 o'clock, that this is not the first time the fire department has been to this building for a fire involving the solar panels. This was 2024 they were back here, exact same building, same solar panels, and there was a fire then too. So that's obviously not ideal, right? But we also know that gives the firefighters some previous knowledge. They know the construction of the building. They know if there are firewalls in there. They know maybe what the building can withstand, and all of those various things. So obviously we don't want this fire to happen, but hopefully they had that prior knowledge, working with the building, with the company Lineage, to determine whether or not there was a risk of collapse if they were to do these water drops. And clearly it didn't happen. I mean, we see as Des is getting closer, the charred remains of the solar panels, but thankfully it didn't get in. But Pat, to your point, what is the damage on the inside? There's that vapor cloud that we saw shot out that did come from the inside. And this is, they talk about the food supply chain and all of those things. Is this going to cause any issues in the food supply chain? This is a very, very large warehouse that they say does a lot of business. So we'll see what the impact of that is.
How much closer the helicopters are getting now
Yeah.
to the roof of the building, and if the roof would have collapsed, you would have seen it by now. You're not seeing it.
Yes, yes. So thank goodness we haven't seen that kind of damage, and hope we don't.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wanted to point out, too, because we saw earlier really quickly, Des, if you can get really tight on the edge of the buildings, there's construction cones that are on the roof that have been lining the edge of the building. And it makes me wonder if they were doing some construction up there, that we know sometimes fires have been started as a result of construction. There, Des is looking at them right now.
All right, while we continue looking at that, we want to bring in CBS LA's Brittany Ehrman, who just arrived.
So, Brittany, where exactly are
911 phone calls of a commercial building in Boyle Heights that had fire, a significant amount of fire.
Is that
When our first
Jaime?
diving company got
Yeah,
to
okay.
what they found is a 1,000
Or what do we call him? Is he Jamie or Jaime?
foot building. Now that's
Is he Jamie or Jaime?
square foot building that had
The chief.
fire on the roof. When the fire company put their
Because remember he went back and forth. Jamie more or Jaime more? It's back to Jamie? Okay.
500,000 square foot building with solar panels on it. The fire had already involved about 10 to 15% of that roof, and it was all a surface fire involving those solar panels. Now keep in mind when we have solar panels, even though we try to shut down the power, the whole nature of solar is it's causing that sun to draw in electricity,
Des, are you able to hear this?
which is a hazard for our firefighters. So they immediately tried to shut down the power. Fire companies did an offensive attack by going
Chopper assignment, that's on one.
and getting hand lines on that roof. While they were doing
Okay,
that,
copy.
there was a pressurized line. Now this is a building that's being used commercially for refrigeration of products. So ammonia is one of the majority of the products being used with refrigeration. We believe an ammonia line was then compromised because we had a large, powerful stream of ammonia coming out. The incident commander had called for all companies on the roof to get off the roof, all the interior companies to get out, and they continued with their ladder pipe operations trying to mitigate this fire while evacuating the area. So the incident commander called for a shelter in place for a region of the area here in Boyle Heights. For those that are familiar with our brush fire operations, they might be familiar with Watch Duty or Genesis, Notify LA, or the WEALers, the Wireless Emergency Alert System. We did put out an alert, and it's still in place for a shelter in place. The reason we ask people to close their doors, stay inside, shut off their air conditioning, shut their windows, is because ammonia in itself is not going to be dangerous to them, but it does cause irritation. So by sheltering in place, we remove them from the hazard. The buildings that are adjacent on Union Pacific and Los Palos, we, in coordination with the Los Angeles Police Department, did an evacuation of those buildings and ensured the building that was where the fire was evacuated. We evacuated all those individuals, we got them out, we got them into a safe place.
Walk us through what you guys are doing. I know we saw an aerial drop. There was a line of hose going there. Can you walk me through some of the things you're doing to get this fire under control?
So our incident commanders had to think out of the box because this was a large fire, it was compromising these solar panels, it was all on the surface, and it was spreading almost like a wildfire would. It was spreading along that roof line. So they called for helicopter drops. Those helicopters came through, dropped on it, started hitting the fire, and as you can see now, the majority of the fire has been knocked down. Now we're bringing in robots because we know there's lithium-ion batteries inside. We know the interior of the building may have been compromised, so we're bringing in a robot to assess the area. Now we're going to get firefighters inside and on the roof to be able to assess the amount of damage and extinguish any hotspots that are left. Recognizing that by these water drops and the amount of water that we put on this and the fire that's already been compromising this building, that this building has been compromised. So we have to keep that in mind and keep the safety of our firefighters. As of right now, nobody has been injured. Nobody has been complaining of any repercussions from the ammonia that did off gas. All of our firefighters were full, proper protective equipment, and we're just now going to be able to mop this thing up, be able to put this fire out. I have to.
There's another aerial drop that we're hearing right now.
Yes, I have to comment that Mayor Bass and I have been on the phone the entire time, and she's been asking exactly the situation, how it's going, and it's been a great feeling with confidence to be able to reassure her that we have been able to put this fire out with the resources that we have right now.
Okay, thank you so much, Chief Moore. We do appreciate your time. And I want to walk through the people at home so you can see exactly what we're seeing right now. So you can see, of course, there's a huge, massive presence here. And if you take a look at the top of the building, that's where you can see still some black plumes of smoke billowing into the air. Again, a lot of LAFD firefighters here on scene. You heard from the chief who said right now they're making efforts to put the fire out, and now they have to see what's going on the inside. And again, these flames have been shooting through the roof of this large logistics facility on South.
I think it's closer.
Me and my photographer, we were driving on the interstate about 10 miles away on the 5, and we saw this smoke.
Right, yeah. I mean, I for sure think Long Beach was closer.
Billowing into
Yeah, yeah.
this moment. Now, like Chief Moore mentioned, firefighters will be out here.
No, El Monte. Well, and El Monte is so slow. Like I know Long Beach ended up being slow, but El Monte is guaranteed to be slow. It would have taken us forever at El Monte. I'll map it.
Some good news. Again, a massive firefighter presence here
For sure.
under control, and of course, we'll keep an eye on things as they develop. When we get to a
Right, right. I mean, and Whiteman's way further than Long Beach.
CBS LA.
Yeah,
Brittany, wanted to ask you.
yeah.
is
I'll
how
map it, but I'm pretty sure. And hey, and just so you know, we couldn't have gone to Hawthorne because it's under a TFR.
shelter in place, besides the ones that, of course, had to be
Yeah.
evacuated. A lot of
Yeah.
these
So I think Long Beach was because of the,
are you
but it's still they still have the TFR up.
from
Yeah,
those
yeah.
for you? Or from that smoke?
Okay. All right. Bye.
Well, I wear contact lenses, so I can definitely feel it. My eyes are they're burning a little bit, so you can definitely see why. People were told to close the windows and turn their air conditioning off to stay safe. We've been out there, I want to say, for 10 or 15 minutes or so, but I definitely feel it just in my contact lenses at this time.
But so far, Brittany, the firefighters haven't told you or the other news crews to step away from the area due to the danger.
Correct. I mean, you can see there's firefighters here. If we turn around, you can see there's a news crew here. So we're able to come closer. They said we're okay to be here and get information as everything develops again. Several aerial drops, as you heard, as we were talking to Chief Moore. So it's a developing situation, but we're able to stay this close. And at this time, they're just trying to get everything under control.
All right, well, thanks so much, Brittany, and we'll be checking back in with you periodically, of course, throughout the newscast. And of course, be safe.
Be safe out there for sure. Well, we all know the thick smoke is triggering that shelter-in-place order that we've been talking about.
That's right, Juan, and Hunter Sowers is now near that warehouse, and she's joining us live. Hunter?
Yeah, Pat, Juan, we just saw one of those water drops that I can tell you really making all the difference in this firefight behind me here. But there are still a number of residents that are impacted by this. Some that just came outside to check and see what was going on and maybe went a little bit too far from home and now can't get back to their homes because they are being told to stay out of this area. This is Prado Street behind me on Olympic right here. And I want to bring in Daniela Medina, who lives nearby. Your grandparents live nearby, Daniela. So tell me, describe what you were seeing when you walked up or when you walked outside and you looked towards that warehouse fire.
Yeah, for sure. I actually wasn't home, but you can literally see like the fire just exploding from like literally a distance. I was in like East LA, but towards like Montana area. You can see the fire just pretty bad. I need to go to my grandparents. I need to make sure they're safe.
Hi. So where we're at to Long Beach was 11 miles. Where we're at to Burbank is 17 miles, and where we're at to Van Nuys is 22 miles.
And it's just so sad to see that. And God bless like every
Yeah. No, I'm good.
women who are out there helping us, but it's just a result of putting these type of buildings so close.
11 miles.
So bad that even like the fact that I'm out here with a mask.
Burbank was 17.
My grandparents don't want to leave. I mean, obviously it was like an evacuation that was,
You're being told to stay.
Van Nuys is 22.
yeah, absolutely. So we kind of just came out to see, make sure if you kind of like look at the smoke, it looks like it's starting to like calm down. So thankful for the firefighters.
El Monte's also 11, but however, we have always had delays getting fuel in El Monte.
Danielle, we're going to try to get some information, of course, from authorities for you to kind of see because you're one of many people
Yeah.
here now waiting to see when they can go home.
Hawthorne is, and I don't actually know if Hawthorne, they were doing construction there, so I don't even know if Hawthorne's even available to us, even if there wasn't a TFR. Let me look.
Now, though, things are letting up. Every time you see gray
Shit, hang on.
or white, that means they are getting a better handle on it.
What's happening here?
Because of that water dropping air that we're seeing from above. But driving here, I know we've mentioned this a lot, guys. It was so dark, that plume of smoke just sitting over downtown LA. That really was kind of.
Sorry, this thing's giving me problems.
Yeah.
And then Hawthorne's about, I mean, because we have to go around about 10 miles as well. Yeah, under a TFR, and they've had construction there.
Residential impact here, a lot of people standing behind us, waiting to get back home. We're going to try to get some answers for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think Long Beach was the right move. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, bye.
Aerial firefight definitely did a great job.
And we did hear, if Hunter, if you can still hear us, that the fire did not extend to the inside of the building, which is good news.
All right, let's get to our Luz Delia Caballero also on the scene.
Yeah, so from our vantage point, definitely seeing that smoke starting to billow once
That siren, that siren's from the helicopter. Yeah, when it comes in. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Get out of the way!
Comes and goes in terms of the dark smoke, the dark plume of smoke, and the firefighters are doing everything they can. We have seen dozens of firefighters here on the ground. Obviously, you see the choppers and you see the ladders. So it is definitely going to continue to be a fluid situation. Firefighters also telling us to be aware of our surroundings and, of course, reminding us that this is toxic smoke here that we are seeing. And just an alert to the neighborhood. And I know you all have been doing a wonderful job reminding folks to keep their air conditioners off. But what you're seeing here is flames that are producing toxic smoke here in this neighborhood. So you just have to be extra careful out here. But we will keep you posted on what we're seeing and how firefighters are moving as they continue to work to take control of this fire.
My 2 cents also is we cover them because we always get screwed by them. By the way.
With your mask on out there, there's still no question about that because we understand that some materials from those
Yeah,
solar
I know.
panels that have
Yeah.
been emitted to the air. Billy, you talked about that, Ron. Silver, lead,
Yeah.
glass, plastics. All of
I'll
those
write it
things
up about the
exactly
GKN.
to the extent
Um,
what
Orange County.
the
Yeah.
contamination could be to people with those kinds of chemicals, but it's certainly
Yeah.
dangerous.
Well, you know, AQMD Pad is monitoring the air out there. They're using their
For sure.
digital air monitors.
Yeah.
So far,
That's what I was gonna say, but we're gonna be done with this. I mean, we'll
checking things out. And what's interesting,
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
it's close enough to the building.
No.
So
Yeah.
far,
Yeah. Okay.
so
Okay.
firefighters definitely keep the distance safe enough to be this close. We didn't see any firefighters with any breathing apparatus either.
Yeah, and that's the good thing. And next we're going to talk about something that is very important anytime, but especially when we talk about fighting fires, right?
That's right. Meteorologist Liberty Chen is tracking the spread of the fires.
So the big question is, Liberty, where is it heading right now?
What do you want me to talk about? Hey, Des. Have you heard anything? There's a Intel 2.4 fixed wing. You know, one of the ones we usually see over the fires is up there. Have you heard them on comms at all? Yeah, he's up at like 12,000 feet. Oh, that's a good map. Oh, wow.
Thank you so much, Liberty. And as Liberty was talking about the areas and the direction the wind is blowing, we know this is at 1400 South Caleb Street, is that correct?
Yeah.
And the western border of Soto and Washington to the south are the affected areas here. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. That's where the shelter-in-place order is.
Just wondering even about the traffic at this hour. I know that's an industrialized
Yeah.
area, but there are residences that we've been talking about throughout the afternoon that are right across the street from this building.
Right.
But what about closures? You know anything
So the good news is that there have been no, I don't want to say no impacts to the freeway, but no closures of the freeway. The freeways have remained open. However, we did look earlier, really when the smoke was really intense, that there was a lot of looky-loo traffic and a lot of people that were slowing in the area just to kind of see what was going on. Though CHP never shut down any of the freeways. Surface streets certainly are impacted. I mean, just by the sheer number of apparatus from the fire department that is in there trying to deal with that. That's one of the reasons LAPD is on a citywide tactical alert. They're holding all their officers over just to be in this area to construct traffic control and whatever other needs may arise. But as you talk about traffic too, Pat, we just heard back from Union Pacific, who had earlier, we had heard the fire department ask them to stop Union Pacific rail traffic in the area. Union Pacific says that's not the case any longer. Their operations are running as normal. And Des, if you can just pan out and down just a little bit, I just want to show people where that Union Pacific, those lines are. They're right there. I mean, and that, there you go, on cue. You see a train moving right through it. So yeah, so there's a lot of that is moving right now, which of course is the good news. And then we do see some of that traffic, Pat, as you were asking about, further south or further to the, well, southwest, I guess. So the train traffic's moving though. The smoke is certainly dissipating, which is great news. I just want to point out too, I did pull the property records, the parcel records from LA County on this building. It was built in 2018, so it is relatively new, which is good because it has all of those, you know, increased fire standards, right? The coding for it when the protocols, right? Thank you. When it has to be built, which is probably one of the reasons why we didn't see this fire come into the building. They probably have firewalls and different materials that prevented that from happening, which is certainly good news.
Chief Moore said it was a surface fire, so
Yeah.
that's good news. And Mike, this is the best we've seen all afternoon long. Look at that.
Yeah.
Pat. I mean, you can see the roof of the building.
Right, most of the smoke now is white, thank goodness, and as you said, Lauren, you can't see the building.
Yeah.
That initial shot with the flames is shooting out from the solar panels. Guys, I don't want to be Debbie Downer here, but
Yeah.
also, we do have to wonder what happened between 2024 and 2026. They were out there in 2024.
Right.
For on call, what, what could have happened between that time now and 2026? We do understand, that a lot of solar panels can catch fire because of faulty wiring.
Yeah.
Things around the panel, right?
Yeah, which makes me wonder. I mean, you know, I pointed this out earlier before we tossed to Luz Delia, but you see the construction cones that are on the roof. We know that a number of fires lately. I mean, the Magic Castle, remember when that caught on fire? That was because of construction. That large mansion that was burning over in, I think that was like the Holmby Hills, Brentwood area. That was as a result of construction. So I'm wondering if that's going to, you know, maybe they were doing some work, and as you mentioned, Pat, an arcing or something happened, and that's what set all of this into motion.
And the good news is, Pat, is it didn't end up like the Kimberly Clark fire.
Yeah.
So just a few weeks ago, where the entire building was destroyed and an entire neighborhood impacted.
And you also have to think about, because there was some discussion in the newsroom, we were just talking about G&K. It wasn't a fire, but it was a leak.
Right.
People had a chemical leak, and people had to be evacuated.
Yeah.
So that was less than a month ago. And now we're talking about another chemical leak, if you will, from, of course, a different facility, different circumstances, and things
Yeah.
like this. Not as bad, I would say, because a whole community, or more than one community, has now been evacuated.
Right.
And out of their homes for a long time, which is what happened with GMK. But, these are things that have been happening relatively, I don't want to say frequent, but sort of.
Yeah. Yeah, and and OSHA is going to be involved in looking into this and figuring out exactly what went on, because it is a workplace. And I'm going to try to see if I can find that video from a bit earlier. But that ammonia leak that he was talking about, I mean, to see that shoot out of the side of the buildings like that was really incredible.
Sorry,
GKN. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it was just really incredible to see all of that ammonia really shoot out there, and it gave LAFD a big pause. I mean, that's when they immediately said, okay, let's figure this out. Hazmat, we're going to consult with them and figure out what the situation here is. But you heard the chief mention that there was an ammonia line that ruptured. Right. Yeah, that caused all of that, that failure and all of that, stuff to shoot out of there, which certainly is it's a volatile chemical, and it can be an issue for sure.
Well, kudos to the fire department, to LAFD for getting on top of this, and certainly assessing what could be done properly at the time and safely at the time. And now we're seeing a much better picture.
Yeah.
And as we're approaching the 5:30 hour, guys, we can certainly go over what happened. This fire broke out about 2:30, a 911 call was received according to Chief Henry Moore. And they arrived on scene to find the solar panels, the roof of this
Yeah.
So much in flames, so much up in flames that a black, thick cloud of smoke could be seen from, I said, most of the San Diego Valley. It was just incredible.
And we saw, yeah, from and that's when it first broke out. And you know, the LAX video, there was even our LAX camera was able to see it easily from there. So I mean, it was really all over the region where all of this was going on. And I want to actually ask Jackie if you can cue up that video that's in D right now, because I want to show the people the ammonia leak that we were talking about. This is when the chief said that pressurized line. Look right there on the right side of your screen. You can see it. Look, I mean, it's incredible how much it just shoots out of the side of the building like that. And I obviously gave them a lot of concern. That's when they started pulling people off the roof and really kind of going into this defensive posture. And look at that. I mean, around the semi trucks there, and all as this was going on the roof there. So it was really incredible to see all of that happen. I mean, the monetary damage, Pat. You heard the chief talk about this a little bit. I mean, they're bringing in robots to go inside the building and figure out. So, you know, we're thankful that it doesn't appear the fire made it into the building, but when you listen to the chief, it sounds like something went on in there that is going to be an issue in and of itself.
And the danger too that the chief was talking about, that the sun continues generating electricity
Yeah.
on these solar panels, so that was a big danger there. And then the ruptured line that we were talking about, the ammonia line, that created yet another problem here. And then the fire quickly started to spread on the panels, and the chief reminding us that this was a surface fire, so it looks like the fire did not go inside the building.
He did say the building was compromised. He also mentioned that there were lithium-ion batteries inside.
Oh yeah.
That's another concern. But there is a shelter-in-place order that is in effect for residents that live near the western border of Soto and Washington to the south. This facility is on 1400 South Los Palos Street. And I believe, Juan, the chief also talked about some evacuations that were conducted early on.
That's right. And no injuries to any firefighters or any personnel out there fighting this fire, which we saw today, fighting this fire from the ground and the air, which was very successful.
And, you know, this is an opportune time, of course, to remind our viewers that you may think, yeah, I need some ventilation here, let me open up the window.
Yeah.
Turn on the air conditioning, but that's not a good idea. They advise against that. They want you to be indoors with this shelter-in-place order, but certainly do not turn on the air conditioner. Close all your windows, make sure they're sealed, because concern, of course, over the chemicals that
Yeah.
have been released through all of this smoke, and still don't know the extent of how people could be impacted by that. So it's best to be safe.
Yeah.
Over the next few days too, Pat, if you exercise outside, hike, or do anything outside, the kids at the playground, a lot of kids are out of school now. Maybe wait till the AQMD gives you the all clear before
And
heading outside.
those World Cup visitors.
Oh gosh, imagine what they're thinking.
Yeah. Hopefully this will be dissipated by
Yeah.
then, but I can imagine, I'm not sure, if there are any matches today?
I don't believe so. I think the next one is tomorrow. Yeah. Friday. Yeah, you're right. Yes. Yeah, you're right. I want to ask Jackie really quickly if we can come back to my computer, because I just want to let people know that the kind of advisory area of where you're concerned about air quality has expanded a little bit, even up to the north a little bit. So thanks, Jackie. Here's my computer, and you're seeing it right here. So again, just to show people, you know, lay of the land, this is where the fire is right here. That's where the warehouse is. What is kind of new here is this area up here, up in the Monterey Park area. They've added that to kind of the advisory list. Again, this is the 10 freeway right here. This is the 710 that runs through everything. So just to kind of give you a kind of perspective of where you're looking at there, all of this now in the blue is what this this area is that they are asking people to be just kind of aware of. Again, the shelter in place has remained where that purple is, but it's even, if I remember correctly, it's even extended a little bit further south here into this area down here, just even further to the south and a little bit more to the east. So they are expanding it. Again, the shelter in place order is restricted to this area here, but everything that you see in blue, which is this big perimeter, is where you should be concerned about air quality and taking those proper precautions.
And the pink is where the warehouse is, and it
Yeah,
kind
right
of
there.
shows you when the smoke drifted off due to the winds. So,
Yeah.
yeah, very big area.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a huge chunk of town that is dealing with this, absolutely.
All right, well, we were talking with Brittany earlier. I'd love to see those water drops. It's unusual to see it on top of a commercial building, but so they're making such a huge impact. Right. And Brittany, just moments ago, we talked to you, and I asked you personally how you were feeling, if you were impacted, but can you give us an update as to what's been happening where you are?
inside. We're trying to figure out what's going on inside the building before they send fire crews inside. So that's to keep them safe. And you can see LAFD firefighters out here kind of on standby because they have to get that drone inside. They want to get that robot inside to make sure it's safe before they go in and try to make sure there isn't a fire on the inside. Right now, the focus is on the roof of that building. They said the solar panels are creating some challenges because they're worried about the lithium batteries, but they said right now there's no evidence of a thermal runoff, but they are keeping an eye on it. But for right now, they're pretty much on standby, just waiting to see when they can go into the building and continue getting everything under control. But right now, the focus is on the top of the building where some of that smoke is still smoldering. We were driving earlier on the interstate about 10 miles away, but we could see the thick black plumes of smoke billowing into the air, just showing how big these flames were. So we're out here right now. We'll make sure if there are any updates, we'll get them to you. But right now, the focus is on the inside of the building and the corner of the top of the building where the fire is right now. I'll send it back to you.
All right, Brittany, thank you so much. And Pat and I were just noticing the blue skies in the shot over just over the building, which we hadn't seen all afternoon.
Now, you know what, I guess that Hunter is also standing by to talk to us live on launch. He's in a different location than Brittany was. So Hunter, describe where you are now and what you're seeing.
Hi there, guys. We're just speaking to residents here. I'm going to bring in somebody who was describing, if you can just kind of step through what you saw that last time compared to this time.
Last time it was really light, really quick they got it under control. This time, like I said, I worked maybe like 3 miles, 4 miles away, and you could see a big ball of black smoke. I panicked because I have my wife here and my nephews. So I left work and I came to get them. We evacuated my baby. And that's what I saw.
Is that a cat?
No. This is my baby. So yeah, I grabbed her, put her in her backpack, got her food and water, and we left.
You've been watching this as it's ebbed and flowed over the last hour to 2 hours. Tell me, what did it look like at first? And then what was going through your head when you stepped outside and saw that?
When I got here, it was bad, really, really bad, really black, really scary, like dark black. And we just got all our little stuff together and like we left, and still, until right now, just a few minutes ago, they're starting to get it under control. But yeah, it's scary, really, really scary.
Anything else you want to add just about this community?
Oh,
about this location?
it's a bird.
Used to this, this is here,
A
but
bird
what about the people,
that she has in her carrier. Yeah, I couldn't tell what it was at first.
I have a 90-year-old, a 95-year-old, an 83-year-old who's been here forever. So, they're worried.
YouTube, you're still here.
What's gonna happen? Everybody's like,
I forgot you were still here, YouTube. How are you?
so they're like, they have nobody to help them evacuate. So I told them, I'll help you, but then the kids got here. But yeah, no, we're a tight block. We have a chat going on, a text chat. Yeah, and I checked on them and they're good. Oh yeah, it's bad. We're gonna have to go look for somewhere to stay tonight. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it going live for us. And again, guys, we have watched this really take a turn in the last really 30 minutes. We were seeing those water drops. Now they've become even more infrequent, which is good news. But the black, thick smoke is really what scared this entire neighborhood. A lot of people just said they got their pets like Elsa, or they got their kids and they just left somewhere already at work and stepped outside and knew they had to get back to get elderly neighbors and residents. I spoke to one woman whose grandparents live just down the street here. This is Prado Street, I believe, in Olympic Boulevard, where we are here. So things are looking much better than they were, but certainly still very scary for this community who just 2 years ago, many have lived here for decades, have seen this happen before, and they want to know what's being done to protect, of course, the residents against the potential hazards in the air. I'm about to speak to a doctor who knows this facility very well, knows what's burning in this facility, and is going to give us an insight into what exactly the risk is right now for people as we kind of feel this wind really hopefully blow it out of this area. But I can tell you, I was on my phone just a minute ago, guys, and there was just dust that settled over the
Hey, Miguel.
my iPhone, and that tells you that those are the particles that we're breathing in. So of course everybody being told to get a mask. I'll be getting one soon. But that's the risk here and the frustration for residents who say this is not the first time they've been through something like this, and they just want to know that their community is being protected. So for now, we're live here in Boyle Heights. I don't have guys, but I want to send things back to you.
All righty, Hunter, thank you so much. And it is great, Pat, to see this community in action. The first thing they thought about was their seniors, their pets, getting out of the area. The woman that Hunter just spoke to, they're saying, we may have to find a place to sleep because it's just not safe to be in our neighborhood right now.
Well, you heard the chief mention when they evacuated people, they just say to get them out safely. Not sure where everyone went, if there was an area or a shelter that was designated for them, or if they just had to do like this woman here who talked to Hunter, I believe, and said, well, I'm going to have to find somewhere to stay. Also interesting one when they said they've been through this before. So
Yeah.
we'll be hearing more about that, I'm sure, finding out more exactly what that means. We know about them coming out to inspect in 2024, but I don't remember with us being on the air talking about a leak or, people having to shelter in place or evacuate. So hopefully we'll learn more about that too.
And it highlights these communities, Pat, that deal with these industrial complexes in their neighborhoods, warehouses, and whatnot that could see these industrial accidents happen.
And I know you have a feeling there'll be some more town halls or something.
We will be on it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I want to get to our Luz Delia Caballero now, also on the scene.
Yeah, things are looking a lot better. Just so you all know where we are, we're actually on the other side of where Brittany and Hunter are on Noakes in Indiana. From our vantage point, still plenty of engines here on the ground. Good news here, though, they stopped the water coming out from the ladder trucks, and as Hunter was saying, the water trucks were coming in every 5 minutes or so,
we'll be leaving our viewers on KCAL back to regular program. We'll be right back.
Woof.
Right?
It's, I know, I don't know. Hey, Jackie.
Still up. I think it's the weather, folks.
Hey, I don't know if you guys have noticed, this happened in the 4 o'clock hour too. The weather mic is like being left open the entire time, and we can hear them in our ears. Okay, but yeah, we just heard it going into the break too.
We still hear it. Are we supposed to?
Okay. Okay, they don't think it's going out over the air. Yeah. Yeah, we hear it. Yeah, whatever.
That didn't go over the air, did it?
They don't think so. Yeah. Because I still hear it. I hear them talking back there. I did find in 2020 they were cited by OSHA
They were cited by OSHA?
in 2020.
Just 2 years after they went up?
Yeah, and 4 years before the fire. And then there was another complaint filed in 2023, but it was closed.
Jesus. That's not good. A complaint in 2020.
That was closed. It doesn't look like there was any violations found. And then, yeah, case status closed. And then in 2020, there was a number of violations, 4 serious and 8 others, for a total of 12 violations. The initial, yeah, the initial penalty they fined him was $73,000. Tons of different things. I mean, there's 12 different violations here. Emergency action plans, proper safety equipment for the employees, safety stuff, yeah. And then they contested it, and it got down to 3, and all of the serious ones were wiped out. So the current penalty is $2,200, but originally it was $73,000.
Yeah, but then 2024 there was.
Then there was a fire, and yeah.
After the 12 violations in 2020.
Yeah, so 2020, 12 violations were found. 2023, somebody filed a complaint, but it was closed. 2024 is the fire. 2026 is the fire.
And they have 10 other lineages, like 10 other
Like
buildings
properties,
every year.
right?
Yeah,
Burning and.
yeah.
Yikes.
Isn't it one of the biggest cold storage facility in the.
That's what they say, yeah.
That's not good at all, in my opinion. I'm glad they have fire breaks and all that. But that
Yeah.
shouldn't- I mean, my goodness.
Well, at least the roof looked like it's compromised, but it's up.
Edwards Air Force Base has released the names of the 8 people killed when a B-52 bomber crashed shortly after takeoff on Monday. A crew of military personnel, government civilians, and contractors were killed. Now the victims, husbands, fathers, and friends.
CBS LA's Jasmine Beal telling us more about some of the men who died.
So this is, of course, reporting to the ones that were in charge of this mission. Holding her husband's flight jacket, Rebecca Rashard points to the 419th Flight Test Squadron badge and a patch symbolizing Christopher Rashard's lifelong love of bombers. He wore them proudly because it was his team did that. And the team worked together and worked hard to find something that was going to work well and be safe and protect the country. The 41-year-old Lancaster resident was one of 8 people killed Monday when a B-52 bomber crashed shortly after takeoff from Edwards Air Force Base during what officials describe as a routine radar modernization test mission. I'm at peace. What happened, and what went wrong, they'll fix and they'll go on and it'll be better for everyone. Rashard was a test director and weapons systems engineer who spent about a decade working at Edwards. He had just started conducting in-flight